Imagine standing alone in the Arctic night. The sun hasn't risen for weeks, the cold bites deeper than bone, and in the stillness, you hear nothing. No howling, no footsteps, just an unnatural silence. But then you feel it. Something is watching. Not a pack, not a wolf you can scare away. This is something else. This is Amarok, a creature whispered about in the coldest corners of Inuit mythology. A wolf so large it dwarfs anything you've seen. A hunter of hunters. It doesn't run with others. It doesn't warn before it strikes. And if you're out here alone, it's already too late. But what exactly is Amarok? Why does it break every rule of how wolves normally behave? And why is it always alone? Unlike the familiar image of wolves as symbols of teamwork and loyalty, Amarok flips that idea completely. It represents something far more terrifying, pure, solitary strength. A force that doesn't need anyone, doesn't fear anything, and never stops hunting. Some say it's the spirit of the frozen wilderness itself. Others think it's a reflection of nature's most brutal law. Survive alone, or don't survive at all. But one thing's certain, if Amarok is real, you don't find it. It finds you. The name Amarok comes from Inuit legend, passed down in hushed tones across generations living in the unforgiving Arctic. Unlike normal wolves that roam in coordinated packs, Amarok is said to be a lone giant, a supernatural predator that targets those who wander off at night, especially hunters who dare to go alone. In Inuit culture, stories aren't just stories. They're tools for survival, warnings woven into folklore. And Amarok is one of the clearest warnings of all. Don't hunt alone. If you stray too far, if you think you're invincible, Amarok is the price. But Amarok isn't just big. It's described as massive, towering over even the largest polar bears, with fur darker than the night sky and eyes that glow like fire in the snow. Some tales claim its paw prints are so large a grown man could lie inside one. Others say the snow itself goes silent when Amarok is near, as if the land is holding its breath. What makes Amarok especially terrifying is its behavior. It doesn't hunt for food. It hunts for balance. It targets those who disturb nature's order, those who take too much, or act without respect. It's a predator of predators, a spirit of vengeance wrapped in fur and fangs. In some versions of the myth, Amarok isn't even fully physical. It's a shadow, a force, a presence. It doesn't need to be seen to be real. And maybe that's the point. Amarok isn't just a creature. It's an idea. An idea that the wilderness is always watching and that solitude in nature doesn't make you powerful, it makes you vulnerable. So while wolves may be a symbol of pack loyalty, Amarok is the complete opposite. A symbol of nature's cold judgment. One wolf. No mercy. No escape. Let's talk about what makes Amarok not just mythical, but terrifyingly believable. Descriptions of Amarok often push it into near kaiju territory. Legends say it stands as tall as a moose at the shoulder, with a body longer than any known wolf species. Its fur isn't just thick, it's impenetrable. Frost and snow cling to it like a second coat of armor. And its jaws? Said to be powerful enough to crush bone in a single bite. But it's not just the size, it's how it uses that size. Amarok doesn't charge. It stalks. Silently. Gracefully. Every movement calculated. In stories, its victims never hear it coming. 1 second they're alone, the next, it's already too late. Even in open snowfields, it somehow blends with the landscape, as if it's part shadow, part beast. Its behavior flips every assumption we have about predators. Most wolves rely on the pack for coordinated hunting. They run down prey using numbers and strategy. Amarok doesn't need numbers. It doesn't chase. It waits. Watches. It chooses targets not because they're weak, but because they're bold enough to walk alone. And here's where the myth gets eerily specific. Amarok doesn't hunt prey animals. It hunts other predators. Bears, wolves, humans. Anything that steps out of balance with the natural world becomes its target. It's not a creature of hunger, it's a creature of correction. This predatory role makes it more than a beast. It's a regulator, a mythological enforcer of nature's boundaries. It doesn't kill to survive, it kills to remind. And while its existence has never been proven, the chilling consistency of its behavior across stories makes one thing clear. If Amarok is real, or ever was, it didn't survive on brute force alone. It survived because it never needed anyone but itself. One wolf. Eternal night, absolute power. Wolves are one of the most powerful symbols in all of nature. They represent unity, coordination, the strength of the pack. They rely on each other to survive the harshness of the wild. Every movement, every hunt, every howl, it's a performance of synchronized survival. But Amarok? Amarok is the glitch in that code, the shadow that walks alone. In a world where wolves thrive through connection, Amarok is isolation made flesh. It doesn't just survive without a pack, it dominates. And that flips the entire narrative on its head. Why does this matter? Because Amarok doesn't just exist in mythology, it exists in our minds. It's a reflection of a deeper fear, being alone in a hostile world. Most predators need others. Amarok doesn't. And that makes it terrifying. Because it doesn't represent danger from a group, it represents absolute independence. A lone force that doesn't need help, doesn't show weakness, and never asks for mercy. But in some stories, this isolation isn't just terrifying, it's tragic. Amarok isn't portrayed as evil. It's not malevolent. It's simply alone. Some legends even say it mourns, that its howls aren't cries of attack, but of sorrow. A soul too strong to belong, too big to be part of a pack, condemned to roam the ice forever. This adds an eerie duality. Amarok is both predator and prisoner, the embodiment of strength and the victim of it. In surviving without bonds, it gave up the very thing that makes wolves connection. This is what makes Amarok so haunting. It reflects the idea that strength and solitude often come at the cost of being understood, of being loved. You might survive, but you won't be known. In many ways, Amarok becomes a metaphor for people, too. Those who grow strong out of necessity. Those who walk alone, not because they want to, but because the world gave them no choice. And while that path may create resilience, it also creates distance. It builds legends, but it also builds walls. So yes, Amarok is terrifying, but it's also poetic. It's the idea that sometimes being too strong, being too self-reliant can turn you into something unrecognizable. Something respected, feared, but never truly known. And maybe that's what makes Amarok more than a monster. Maybe that's what makes it immortal. So, could Amarok actually be real? On the surface, it sounds impossible. A giant wolf spirit roaming the Arctic, hunting alone, leaving no trace. But legends often come from something. And in the case of Amarok, it might be rooted in more reality than we think. First, let's look at real-world wolves. The largest known wolf subspecies, the Mackenzie Valley wolf, can reach over 6.5 feet in length and weigh more than 170 pounds. These wolves roam the frigid north and are built for survival in brutal conditions. But they're still pack animals. Even the biggest among them rely on others to hunt, breed, and stay safe. But there are rare cases lone wolves that break away from the group, often after a fight for dominance or loss of a mate. These wolves become nomadic, roaming massive territories alone. Some survive, some thrive. These rare cases could have been the seeds for stories like Amarok. Add in the Arctic's harsh, isolated environment, and you get the perfect storm for myth-making. Massive paw prints in untouched snow, an echoing howl no one can trace. A predator seen once, then never again. In a land where night can last for months, the imagination doesn't need much fuel to spiral. And there's a pattern across cultures. Nearly every cold, remote place has stories of oversized, solitary predators. From Russia's Chuchunya to Canada's Wendigo, the theme repeats something is out there, alone, and it's not supposed to be. Amarok could be just that, an echo of something real, exaggerated by fear, isolation, and the human need to explain the unexplainable. Maybe it wasn't ever one creature. Maybe it was a warning, stitched together from dozens of sightings, close calls, and ancient fears. Whether it's real or not, the legend survives because the fear it represents still does. Amarok isn't just a giant wolf in the snow, it's a reflection of everything we fear in the dark. Isolation, power, the unknown. It haunts legends because it embodies something deeper than a monster. It's a question. What happens when strength leaves you truly alone? Whether real or imagined, Amarok remains unforgettable. A creature born from frozen silence, walking the line between guardian and executioner. Maybe it's just a myth? Or maybe, out there in the Arctic night, it still watches, waiting. If this video chilled you even a little, hit like, subscribe, and explore more creatures from the edge of myth.